Don't be conjuice and hire an architect. Invest your 2-3% in good architect. It was a proper cooker khana and it was completely bare. And the lady said, I have just 10 lakh rupees, fix it up.
Assalamu alaikum, I'm your host Sayyida Farheen Fatima and I'm here with a brand new episode of MRS podcast. आज हम बात करेंगे innovation in the world of architecture. So if you're someone who is looking forward to building your new home or renovating your already home, or you're studying architecture, this is going to be very useful for you. So today we have with us Rafeh Abbasi, who is the founder and principal architect at Islamabad's leading architecture firm Manzil Studios. So Rafeh के background के बारे में मैं थोड़ा बताती चलूँ. So Rafeh has done a bachelor's in architecture science from NCA Islamabad. He did another bachelor's from the Catering University and finally master's in resilient and sustainable strategies from KU Leuven. Hi Rafeh, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me on your podcast.
It's a pleasure. Must say, very impressive portfolio.
Thank you.
Okay. So Rafeh, you're an architecture and a very good one. I would like to ask you, what are the inspirations that you draw from?
Inspirations that I draw from, it depends on what type of project it is. We get inspired from our clients, we get inspired by nature, and most importantly, we get inspired by finding very innovative problem-solving solutions that enhance the aesthetics of the architecture.
So, थोड़ा सा पीछे चलते हैं. How long it has been that you're in this profession?
Adding my studies, it would be about 15 years.
Oh, that's like a huge time. And what about your firm?
The firm is still young. It's a little baby. It's only been 3 years.
So, Rafeh, I would like you to share your story with us. Like, what inspired you to, pursue architecture as a profession? Or what was that point where you realized that, this is your true calling and this is your passion and you want to do this?
It started from a very, very young age. Since I was a little child, I've always loved drawing. I've always loved puzzles. I've always loved problem solvings. And my grandfather saw this little potential in me. And during my summer holidays, he'd give me small architectural assignments. He would tell me, give me a little plot of land. He'd say, oh, make this into a house. And he was an engineer and he was also very interested in architecture, had lots of books. So he'd always push me. My parents, my father being an engineer, my mom being an artist, also gave me a lot of support. So as a little kid, they'd keep telling me, oh, architecture is for you, you're going to be an architect. So as long as I can remember, I always wanted to be an architect.
That's very impressive. So you had a lot of inspiration ghar se hi.
Yep.
So you kind of grew up in that space where you saw artists and architectures around you.
Yep.
Very interesting. Okay. So Rafeh, from the idea to the physical design of it, how would you describe the process?
Design is very tricky. Each project is completely different. But the most important factor is the client. Trying to understand what they need, what they want. Most architects make the mistake of treating like a project as their own. They need to realize that it's the client's project and it's their vision. So trying to emulate the best version of your client's dream and not your own.
Absolutely. So do you make sketches or 3D models? What's the process like?
We start off with writing down a brief, write down what the client's requirement is, and trying to put them together like a little puzzle. Resolving a plan, then we start building it in 3-dimensional, then adding different types of details, trying to resolve everything architecturally so that those elements provide an aesthetic value rather than just being hidden. And we are again spending loads of money on fancy marbles and gold interior.
So you're against that?
Yes. Architecture should be sustainable, it should be resilient, it should be beautiful at the same time and remove the conception that a lot of money does not equal to something very nice.
Oh, very interesting.
Things can be done in a much cheaper way. We do sketch. We sketch among ourselves when our team sits together. We quickly jot down our ideas on paper, trying to resolve details. What is the best way to solve something? And that's where our sketches are limited to.
Uh-huh. So, moving forward with this, Rafeh, in Pakistan and I think all over the world also, people have a lot of sentimental value attached to their house. You know, वो सारी जिंदगी नौकरी करते हैं और उसके बाद उनका एक end goal होता है कि उन्होंने अपना घर बनाना है. So, how do you deal with your clients' emotions at that stage? Because you have something in your own mind, but you know the client has कि नहीं मुझे यही चाहिए.
That's very difficult. I'm still learning it.
Uh-huh.
I'm still a young architect, so I have not figured out how to solve that yet.
Uh-huh.
But each thing is different. With clients, it depends on the problem. And I believe a good project is the client and my own ideas and the firm's ideas. That's what makes a successful project. It can't just be all my own. So we do listen, and if it makes sense, why not? One of the nicest design elements in my projects I usually come from my clients. Not myself. Yeah. So
you actually take a lot of their input as well.
Of course, you must. They're part of the team.
बिल्कुल. So how do you cater to their budget, constrictions?
There are a few thumb rules that we apply, basically based on covered area. We apply those and we say that if this is your budget, we need to keep the house to a certain size. And then it also depends on how lavish the house is, what type of finishes that we're putting in. The gray structure is basic, but then again, if they want imported floors, bathrooms are the most expensive, they want imported tiles. So then we have to just adjust it to their budget.
So, Rafeh, what do you enjoy the most designing in a house?
I like the flow of it. Not the elevation, but how you go from one room to the other room, how different types of spaces open up as you walk through. So I would say the interior spaces. That's the most enjoyable for me.
Okay. So Rafeh, when you started professionally the architectural journey, so how were the projects that you used to take at the start?
The ones I used to do while working for another firm? Oh, those were everything, random stuff. From master planning to photoshopping to designing bathrooms, making bill of quantities. But that allowed me to build my own skill set. I was not dedicated to a particular project all by myself, but bits and pieces of different projects. So very luckily, I was in charge of a studio head very quickly and in Sydney. That allowed me to improve my management skills and manage a team and gave me the confidence to open my own firm.
Okay, apart from being an excellent architect, as we all know, you're also the founder of an architecture firm, Manzil Studios. So tell us a bit about your architectural firm.
Manzil Studios is a new baby. Like I mentioned before, it's just been 3 years. Our aim and goal is to treat architecture as a craft. We want to provide something different to the typical firms. We want to provide very sophisticated hands-on design approaches. And our philosophy is that one person or one architect in our team can only work on 4 projects.
Okay.
Many firms tend to overload their staff, and in the end, the results is not giving the right amount of time. And the designs seem rushed. So we want to provide very hands-on, creative, like our logo as architects is a craft. And that means building it with our hands, like really going into the depth of it, resolving every small issue, and just being more budget friendly, trying to create designs that are not necessarily expensively built, but have the same impact.
So currently, आपकी firm किन projects पे काम कर रही है?
Oh, we have a lot. Mashallah, we have quite a few projects. Mostly IT offices. We've got a couple of houses. Our MRS partners in Europe have given us a house in Italy. There's one in Prague as well as Germany. So we've got our hands in different.
Okay. So since you mentioned MRS, so you also designed this beautiful office space that we were working in. I must say everyone really enjoys working here because it's very lively and there are plants and there's a lot of fun element to it. Would you like to describe, say something about your partnership with MRS Technologies? How did it materialize?
Okay, so I've known Mansoor for about 5-6 years now. And in the beginning, he came to me when I was working in Sydney and at this tiny little office, which was about size of 2 bedrooms.
So this office was where?
This was in H10.
Okay, Islamabad.
Islamabad, mein, yeah. It was for robo-miners. And that's when I met Mansoor, and in Sydney, no one was giving him any importance, but I did. And we just hit it off. And one project after the other project. Like I think up till now I've done 7 projects with Mansoor. And there came a point where we realized that we were just mentally compatible. We had the same visions and dreams about the future. We both wanted to achieve the same things, and the only probable or sensible thing to do was to partner up and join our minds together for the bigger picture.
So since your partnership, how has your team grown up?
The partnership came in quite early of Manzil, I think in the first year. After that, he helped me with the business side of the company. We became more official. We've grown to now 3 architects, but we do have around 10 employees who work with us offsite.
That's great. So MRS Technologies ke saath, are there any current projects that you're working on?
Yes, there are a couple of them regarding home automation.
Oh.
So with home automation or just any type of automation, we've introduced MRS into a few of our offices. So what that does is a very interesting and smart project. And I was in part of the design phase. It's got these beautiful glass panels and touchscreens. So what that allows you is to save energy. It automatically turns on and off depending on movements or customizable by the app. It can even be related to light. So it really just takes our architecture to the 22nd century. It's a beautiful product, and I just love using it in my projects.
That's really interesting. Okay, so one of the things that I realize is that you have a very what would I call that? You're inclined towards innovative ideas or modern architecture. So how would you define creativity in your work approach?
Problem solving. I go back to the same thing. Problem solving. I think beautiful elements come from solving a problem. Like in one of our projects, it's all about the cable trays. What people don't understand is those cable trays are more important functionally than aesthetically.
Exactly.
And that is where, when you're faced with a difficult situation and you have the idea of solving it, that's where innovation comes. I think with all scientists, one of our most famous inventions are all come from a certain problem that's been resolved.
So Rafeh, any accomplishments that you're proud of or in your architecture journey you would like to mention?
Yes, there's one that I am. During my master's in Belgium, I had an amazing teacher, and he kept pushing me to my limits. I did a drawing as a result of my thesis that was about 10 feet by 3 feet. It was huge, probably the size of this wall. And that drawing took me hours to make. It was very detailed, and it answered or revolved around different perspectives joining together. It was a conclusion to my thesis, and that drawing won an award. It got nominated as best drawing in the university, and then later on they funded me to enter Belgium competition, where I did not win, but I came second place, and that was a really good moment for me.
Okay, one last question I would like to ask you, that you studied in Belgium, so you studied all European architecture. So how has that helped you in the Pakistani industry? Or how do you incorporate that here?
It's very difficult, but the way they treat problem solving is extremely different from us. I think they're more closer to less is more than we are, and that helps me understand that you can create beauty with less. It doesn't have to be extravagant.
No, that's really good. So, Rafeh, your master's is in architecture and sustainable and resilient strategies. Would you like to explain a little bit about it? What is it like?
It means how can design be in such a way that it is long term. How do you treat even small things to large things that add value back to society and are not just within themselves? For example, in our culture, we have a cooler outside.
Yes, almost everywhere.
And that cooler allows people to drink water. So it's giving back to society, and it's sustainable within itself.
Yes.
So that's basically in a smaller scale, but for larger architecture.
Very interesting, very interesting. Yeah. So, in your architectural journey, what has been the most challenging product that you worked on?
I would say Mansoor's house.
Why so?
Because we both were trying to aim for the stars, and we achieved it with this house. But no, that's just a joke. It's every project has its own challenges. I mean, my first project with Manzil was a kitchen coupe. It was a proper cooker khana, and it was completely bare. And the lady said, "I have just 10 lakh rupees, fix it up." So we went completely industrial on that, and we achieved it in our budget. It was quite a large area, 1,800, and now it's an art gallery for comedy. So each project has its challenges. You can't say one was harder than the other.
It must have been like your babies. Your projects are your babies that
They're
you're
all
working
my babies.
on.
Yeah, I can't choose. There are some that I hate more than the others, but the ones that I felt I could have done better. No project is perfect. But yeah, generally I like them all.
So Rafeh, talking of typical homes in Pakistan, how they are built. So there's this एक ठेकेदार है, वो आपको एक घर बना के दे रहा है जो आप उसे journal से बताएं. How do you think how critical it is to consult a professional architect and get your home and design made by them?
It's very important. I feel Pakistan, many people are getting more aware to hire an architect. But in the bigger picture of things, an architect's fees is about 2% of your total construction.
Exactly. That was my next question, because people are very intimidated by, they charge a lot and they're very high.
People forget the idea that aap ghar banate hue, you're going to spend crores.
Exactly.
And unki fees lakhon mein hoti hai, and you only build a house once. Some people build more than once, but generally one. And in that, you need to realize you're only going to build it once and spend time in it. An architect can be closer to your dreams. They customize things. The house is like a piece of clothing. It should be tailor fit to your body. The same way it should be tailored to your family's needs. The most important thing is to pick a good architect, and I think they should do their research of what style of houses that they built. Interview many architects. Talking to them is free. Find out who you click with. Treat it like a marriage, like a rishta talk, because you'll be with them for a couple of years.
Exactly.
And invest in an architect. It's compulsory.
So basically, you're building a relationship with the architect for you, who is translating your needs into your demands.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Okay, so preparing for this podcast, I went through your social media accounts, and I must say it has very beautiful projects on the site and the Instagram as well. What has been the most interesting project, or the one that is closer to your heart, that you really enjoyed working on?
वही बच्चों वाली बात है. I love them all. They're all amazing. Projects, they each have their own uniqueness about them. And we always try to solve something new or try something different in each one. So they have a little place in my heart in all of them. For example, this new office that we're doing, building a red kitchen. Never at anyone's mind thought that a kitchen should be red. But here we're trying it. It was part of the brand colors. So let's see how it works. So that's special. MRS, the planters, the greenness that we brought into them, those planters are just not planters. They're energy boxes that feed into the workstation.
Absolutely.
So that's again a problem-solving issue. I could go on and on.
So Rafeh, in your architectural journey, so you are very open to experimentation and bringing in new ideas. I would like to ask you here, how do you draw the line between comfort and luxury? Because there are, in a lot of homes, what I see is it's not very comfortable. It's like a show ke liye ek piece hai, ya, a lot of land is wasted on that. So how do you cater to that?
Comfort is luxury.
Comfort is luxury, absolutely.
So, like I tell my clients that using expensive materials, yes, they do add importance to the house, but they should be used in moderation. And for me, I think luxury would be having a master bathroom with 2 sinks. One for your wife, one for the guy. So that's luxury. That's real luxury, not using fancy materials and expensive furniture.
So Rafeh was also having a conversation with one of your employees. So what they told me, the significant factor about your personality or the way you work is honesty. Being honest with your client. Agar koi cheez nahi ho sakti, you're not going to show them the subs bar, ke ye ho jayega, ye ho jayega. So how important do you think is transparency in the process?
It's everything. And a lot of Yeah, it's everything. And it's so sad that in our society, first thing that people do is lie, especially contractors.
Exactly, that's the
What
thing.
they do is they give a quote to a house a lot lesser than what it should be. They don't realize that money that they have is hard earned, and not everyone has a very endless budget. So it may work with some people, but not with others. So what they do is they give a very low budget or estimate, and once the house starts being built, they say, "Oh, we didn't add this. Oh, आपका ये नहीं था, वो नहीं था," and in the end, it just reaches a huge amount.
Exactly.
I think transparency is everything.
Plus, they also commit to something else and they're delivering something absolutely different.
Yeah.
Saying that, it wasn't feasible, but they're not, telling that to the client in the initial stages.
But that's when architect comes in. You should have your back. You should be your lawyer.
Exactly. So, Rafeh, what would you like to say to the budding architects or the students who are still studying or who are, in their bachelors? Any message that you would like to give them?
One very important one. Architecture, especially in the Islamabad region, you have around 3 schools that each produce together they produce 150 students a year. There are about maybe 40, 50 firms with capacities of 10 to 15 people with already filled roles. So it's very hard for a young architect to
Make a
start,
mark.
make a mark. I would tell them that you need to be better than the rest. And in order to succeed in any field, you must make sure you're the best at it. Whatever you do, a doctor, an engineer, even if you're a person who paints walls, make sure you paint the best walls. That's the only way you can achieve greatness. And it's important to achieve or thrive to achieve greatness, to leave your own mark behind. Another thing would be that there's a lot of competition. Don't be scared. Young people going to the field, people say there's no money in architecture. If you're very good, there will be. So don't give up, keep at it, and don't run for money. Give it time, try to improve your foundation. Don't try to take up your own projects right in the beginning and say, "Nee, mujhe bahut paise mil rahe hain aur mere kaam ban raha hai." It's not sustainable.
Okay, and that's really insightful, and I hope that would be very helpful. Any messages for the people who are in the process of building their retirement homes, which is the ultimate luxurious spot that they're looking forward to?
Don't be conjuice and hire an architect. Invest your 2-3% in good architect, and your life would be easier. You'll save more money with their own. They get discounts. Architects get discounts from vendors. Once you'll make your money.
That's really useful piece of information. Thank you so much, Rafeh. It was a very insightful conversation, and I hope that the audience who's watching us will have some key point takeaways from our conversation. All the best for your firm, and I hope that we do a lot more. You do a lot more projects with Emerge Technologies, and together we can achieve greater heights. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. That was it for today's podcast. I hope that you must have learned a great deal from Manzil Studios principal architect Rafeh Abbasi, and it was very beneficial for young aspiring architects. So if you're looking forward to build your new home or renovate your already existing home, we are putting down in description the Manzil social media pages. You can follow them there and contact them. If you like the video, please share it with your friends and family. Do not forget to like, comment, and share the video. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you so much.